Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Pretty good here, and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to do the most epic mod to my Toyota Tundra so far, and that's going to be a front-facing camera. You know, this truck is big, it needs a front-facing camera. So we've got the hood open. First thing that I had to decide was where to run the wiring through the firewall. And it's, believe it or not, it's tighter inside underneath in this truck than it is in the Tacoma up there. So the first grommet that I saw was actually right back there, if you can see, but right back there. And you can't get to that underneath. There's just too much junk in the way. So I came over here to the passenger side, and there's this nice big grommet through the firewall right there, just waiting for me to run wire through. Now obviously I've got to run it a little bit longer to go over to the battery, but that's okay. We have plenty of cable. So how do we get to that? Well, I think it's going to be even easier. I've already popped off the little dash cover here. It's just held on by these little pressure pins, whatever you want to call them. You just kind of pry that off and it just kind of pulls right off. So no big deal. And then for more access, down under here, there's this panel, which I've kind of pulled off a little bit already. We need to go ahead and pull off the other side here, just like that. And it's just held on by these little pins in the front. There are 4 of them. You just push them in. There's little openings here on the other side to do that, right there. And then just pull down and that'll release this pin. So, get that out of the way. What does that give us? Well, it gives us access to that grommet, and we're underneath here, and hopefully you guys can see right up here, right here behind this plate, of course, right there where you can see that wire going through. That's where the grommet is on the other side, right underneath this carpet. So that's where we're going to run our wire. We're going to come through the firewall there, and then we're going to go up behind the front dash here, and we're going to come inside right behind this trim piece that we've removed. That'll give us access to the radio, which is right there. Much more room to work here than what we had in the Tacoma, for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and set up and run. I'm going to run the wire. I'm going to go ahead and do that through the firewall, and that's where we're going to start this project. Stay tuned. All right, here we go. Let's give it a shot, see what happens. All right, we are through. You can see the wire here on the inside, the other end. And right up here, right there. See if I can get a good angle for you guys. Right there is where it came through. So now we have to feed it up that way to get up here behind the dash so that we can then go down to the radio. So that's the next step. Okay, next step was pretty easy. I have an old antenna here that I used as my fishing wire, and I just stuck it down through right here. Oops, right there. Right there, down to the bottom, and then taped my wire to the end of it and simply pulled it up through. So now I have the wiring behind the dash here where I want it. The next step, of course, is going to be pulling out the radio so that I can run everything this way. All right, now we have to get the radio off here, and that involves pulling off the temperature control units here, which should just should pull away right here, and this whole piece should pull out. The problem is gaining access underneath to get good leverage to pull it, because it's just held on by push pins. So in order to do that, now if I had a more curved pry tool, maybe I could get underneath, hook and pull, but this thing is not robust enough to do that, and it's all that I have. So what I'm going to do, unfortunately, is take off this center console piece here, and this should be 2 pieces. This part around the shifter, you remove the shift knob. This piece here, which I've had off before in the Crew Max, should pop off, and then the rest of the center piece here should pull off and give us access underneath the lip of this temperature control unit, so we can just pull it off. Alright, so first we need to remove the shift knob, which we just put on not long ago, so we certainly know how to do that. It just unscrews, like so. Set that aside. And then we have to pry up this center piece here. So, to do that, gently, I'm just going to pry around the edges until we can get a good start. Maybe I can just pull it. Let's see. Felt something go there. Now my hands are sweaty. Like I say, I have had this off in the Tundra, the Crew Max rather, before. Oh wow, this whole center part pulls off this time. Interesting. Well, I don't remember it doing that before. But hey, if it all wants to come off, that's even easier for me, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Remember, gently. There. Nothing broken, so we're okay. We have the center part off. No scratches, nothing broken. That's good. Now this this center piece here. Let's go ahead and see if we can't pull this off. Okay, I got that. It's just going to be a matter of brute force. Ah, there you go. So, the whole center piece is now loose, I think. And we'll just take that off, and that exposes everything. Wow, I like that. Make sure I didn't damage anything. I didn't damage anything, so we're all good. It's just clips on the back. So now, we should be able to get under here and pull this radio panel off. So I'm going to set this stuff in the back, and then we're going to do that. There we go. Gently. Now. And it just pulls free, just like that. Mine is actually taped up to a little bracket under here. Let me show you that. There's actually a little bracket, not a bracket, but it's taped down right here. That's what keeps the wires up. I may pull that out just to give myself more wiggle room here, because now all we have to do is remove these 4 bolts under here. There's 2 here and 2 higher up right here, and the radio will be free. So let me go ahead and get this removed a little bit, and then we'll move on. Okay, that was just a little nub right there that was in this hole right here. So it just has a little push pinny kind of thing on this side. You just push those together and it pulls right out. That enables you to sit this down and get it out of the way without having to screw with anything, you know. So next, before I move on, I'm going to test fit my switch, because I'm looking to put the switch right there in the bottom of this, and I want to make sure that it fits. So we're going to go ahead and do that real quick before I move on. Alright, I've got the switch pulled out. You guys can see it's now blank there. But something interesting I discovered, behind this switch there is a wire, you can see there, that goes into this. This is nothing, it's a blank. So it's holding, you can see it just comes right out. I didn't even have to push anything. It's just holding a switch, probably for an option that you might want to install. I don't know what it's for, but pretty interesting. I'm going to leave it in there, obviously, and I'll just secure it behind here somewhere, but it's not used. Alright, I've got my switch in there. You guys can see it does fit. I wouldn't say it's a perfect fit. You can just push it right out from the back, but it does fit and it does operate that way. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's move on. Alright, time to pull the radio, and you need a pretty darn long extension because one of the bolts is way back there. You have one right here and one way back there. So you got to take out those four bolts. There's of course one on, or two on each side. So those two, and then over here that one, and the other one that's way back there. So we're going to go ahead and pull the radio out, and should be able to start connecting things up. All right, we've got the radio loosened. All the bolts are out. Again, 4 bolts. I don't know how I'm ever going to get the ones that go all the way in the back in, but we got them. So now I need to pull the radio, so let's see how simple this is. I'm hoping I can pull it out and just set it right up here on the dash on this towel, but we'll see. Let's go. All right, that's because it's held on by pins here at the top. Right here and right here, there are 2 pins. I don't know if you can see them, but one on each side there. So you got to give it a kind of a good pull to get it out. But we have it out. Let's see if we can lay it on the dash. I don't know. My phone thing is apparently in the way. No, that's not too bad. Good. Awesome. So we are able to lay it on the dash. Everything does reach. Nothing is restricted. That is awesome. So there's the radio. There's the back of the radio. And hopefully the 2 connectors we need to mess with are here and here. Okay, let's get to the wiring, the fun part. The first thing that we're going to hook up is the Anytime backup camera wire. That's this one that just has the kind of braided cover on it. So we're going to plug this into this jack on the radio. So we're going to go ahead and pull this off. It's just a little push pin underneath. You just push in, pulls out just like that. And then we're going to insert this into the big end of the Anytime camera, and it's labeled, or Anytime backup camera. So let's go ahead and push that in. Sometimes these are uncooperative. All right, I think we're in there good. Let's make sure. Yeah, I don't think it'll go in there anymore. All right, so we've got that part plugged in. That was pretty simple. And then the other end, of course, needs to be plugged into the camera, or the radio rather. So let's take that around, plug it into the back of the radio, like so. Alright, we've got that plugged in. That looks nice. Now we have to take the other side out, this side over here, which is down there, and plug it into our other connector. And that is the, find it, it's falling around down here. That's the one that's got all the connections and stuff on it, including the relay here. So we're going to go ahead and pull out this connector over here on the radio. Should work the same way. Push and pull, there we go. And I'm going to connect it underneath here. Let's see here. Of course, we want to make sure we get it on the right way, like so. That was easy. And then, famous last words, by the way. And then let's go ahead and plug this in. It should plug in like so. So that takes care of that. We have all the wiring that we need now plugged in here, into the radio at least. So now we have to connect up the rest of it. Before I do that, as I did in the Tacoma, I'm going to go ahead and tape these connectors here up just to make sure they don't ever come apart. And then we'll move on to the next step. All right, we've got our connections all taped up here. These are the RCA connections. And then the wire that I ran through the firewall is now plugged into the only other plug that's left open to plug into. And that is the one off of the relay. So that's been run through. I just ran it behind. I showed you guys how to get it up there, and then I just routed it behind in the back here. And it's plugged in. In case you're wondering, these red wires that you see on here, we're not going to use these in this application, so you can just cut them off or tape them down, whatever you want to do. I'm going to just tape it on here. I'm going to go ahead and get this connection taped up, and then we're going to wire up the switch And that should make us pretty much done here on the inside. All right, time to wire up the switch. We have the cord here, and this is the one that looks braided from the switch up above, and then we have the other one that comes from the relay. And they've actually made an improvement. They changed the color on the relay to green. It was red. And everything now matches up with the wiring for the switch. So green goes to green, red goes to red. You can see red here coming from the backup cameras, or the backup camera switch up above, or not the switch, but the connector. Orange, and then of course ground will go to ground in the camera itself, and then I'll attach that to a ground somewhere underneath, which I'll have to make up my own wire for that. But for now, we're going to go ahead and connect up the wiring here, and use my little new ceiling connectors, which I think are awesome. So we're going to do that part next. All right, we've got our first two put together inside of our little ceiling connector. So we're going to see if I can't do this a little better than I did it before, actually, with my test. I don't want to melt everything. So before I turn the gun on and get it all hot, make sure everything's good. The wires are all underneath the solder inside the sleeve here. So we should be able to just crank this thing up and seal everything down, again, hopefully without melting everything. That's the plan. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Alright, we've got the connections all made with our little solder seal connectors, and I've got them taped. Now I have to do the ground. I am going to use just some regular terminals for the ground, because I have to connect two and then plug the ground wire into the other end. So we're going to go ahead and crimp a couple of wires together on here, one from the switch and one back here from the relay, and then we'll run our ground connected up, and then I think we're done on the inside. Figured out my ground. I've got everything put together here. I did use these connectors as opposed to the solder seal ones, because I had 3 wires to connect. I'm going to tape that all up a little better. But I ran the ground over to a hole that's actually open behind the dash right down there. If this thing focuses, you might be able to see it. But anyway, it's right down there. And I just put my own screw in it, and we're going to ground it over there. Pretty easy. Alright, we've got everything done down here. Everything's fed back through. I have the switch plugged in here. And by the way, I said before it didn't fit well. That's because I didn't have it pushed in all the way. It fits perfectly. The only other thing was the relay. I just used some double-sided tape and stuck it to this white box, which has a bunch of wires running through it, in the back. So it should be out of the way. This double-sided tape isn't going to go anywhere, so it should be fine. And now I just have to tidy up the wires a little bit together, and then put the radio and everything back in, and then we'll move on to the front part. Alright, let me show you where we're at so far. Of course, we have the wire that runs up to the wiring harness coming through the firewall, just as before. And then I actually ran it up and used the clips on the side that hold in the windshield washer fluid line, and ran the wire right down those, zip tied it right here in the corner in front of the wire, or water bottle rather, and then ran it underneath this frame piece right up front, right in front of the radiator, behind this big wiring harness here, I guess. Hopefully I don't have any electrical interference. If I do, I'll have to move it. But it runs underneath here all the way over, and then comes out, let's see, right here. So that's where I'm at right now. I have the camera just hanging in there. My camera is going to be mounted right here, right underneath the TSS sensor, right in this honeycomb groove there, if you will. So what I'm going to do is run the wire up through here for the camera, just kind of have it hanging out above this opening right here, and this just pops off, of course, so that I know where it is. And then I'm going to run the rest of the wiring over here to the battery. We're going to find a fuse, hopefully one that's not on all the time, like on the Tacoma, And we're going to do our add a fuse there. We'll ground it right here on the battery ground. I think that's fine right there. And then we should just be able to plug the camera in. You guys can see right here. And we'll be golden. All right, I've got everything connected now. The camera's just sitting right now, so we're going to move that around a little bit later. But for this test, that's okay. I did run it just through wherever I could get through under here, and then connected up the camera wire and all that good stuff. Pretty simple. There's only one you can plug into here, and there's only one you can plug into here. And then as far as power goes, I used EFI number 2 in the fuse block here. It seems to be okay. Doesn't have power all the time. Had power when I tested it with the fuse out and turned the truck on. So I think we're okay there. I did ground it right here where the battery goes. Okay, let me show you what I've done with the wiring in here. I just tied down a couple places to existing wires. One here, and this is for the TSS system, and then one right down there, right there, and that's for the other part of the TSS system. And then inside, I just ran the wire, let's see, right there, the red wire, into the back of the fuse box. I actually cut a little slit back there. That's probably a no-no, but that's how I did it. And then I ran it behind the negative. I did ground it here once again, run it up here, ran it up here, and then I tied it down right underneath the lip here, the bundle of wire that's left, right underneath this frame piece here. And then I kind of left this these two little wires you see sticking out. You can cut those depending on what you want the camera to do, and the directions are in the with the camera to cover that. And what it involves is having the lines or not having the lines. And then I ran the wire from the camera just through this little holder here that's actually holding this tubing down, which I assume there's wires inside of. And there are, right there. Fit in there rather nicely. So that's how I tied it down. Looks nice and neat in there to me. You really can't see much, which is good. That's how I wanted it. And then the final piece, the camera itself, is mounted right here. Now, I mounted it with double-sided tape. Now, we'll see how that holds. The camera can't go anywhere because it is wired, of course, so if anything happens, it'll just fall behind the grill, and then I'll have to do something else. But with today's adhesives and double-sided tapes that are out there, that should be pretty fine. And if you're concerned, all of the badging that you have, these kind of things, are held on by double-sided tape. So now it's the moment of truth. We're going to find out if it works. I hope so. Everything's back together. Let's see. All right, we're inside here. There is where the switch is. It's a little out of the way under there, I know, but it fits, so that made me pretty happy. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Let's see what happens. Wait for everything to boot up. I'm going to turn some air on while I'm sitting in here because I am sweating to death. That feels good. All right, there's the radio. There's the switch. We're going to go ahead and push reverse or rear first. And there you see, the rear camera does come on. So that's a good sign. That's a great sign. Now we're going to turn it off, push it to the middle like we did. Right there. And now we're going to hit front, which is up here on the top, and I know you can't see it, but that's okay. So here we go. And there we have it. The front-facing camera is on and working in the Tundra. Woohoo! Awesome. Very, very cool. I love it. Let's go ahead and see. I have it on front right now. Let's go into reverse, see what happens. It does stay on in the front just like it did before. Let's go back to park rather. Nothing's on right now. The switch is not lit up. Nothing's on. So let's go to reverse. And you can see the reverse camera comes on as it should. So, awesome. I'm going to take this as a rousing success. It works exactly the same as what the Tacoma does. If you're looking for a little more detail in the install, it's exactly the same install, almost step for step as what the Tacoma was. A few differences. I did put it on a different side, went through a different firewall entrance point, but basically it's about the same, maybe a little more detail in the wiring with the Tundra install, or I'm sorry, the Tacoma install that I did. Otherwise, same setup, works the same way. I like it. This time it didn't take me a day and a half, it only took me a day. Anyway, appreciate you guys watching. Hope you guys like this. I think it's pretty cool, especially in a big truck like this. I love it. We'll see you guys next time on the web. Don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up on the way out. Have a great day. Bye.